Hi everyone! So this is just a quick demo video of our website, Urban Advisor, which is created by a group of grad students in the Masters of Engineering and Computer Science program at Virginia Tech for the final project of that program, CS5934 Capstone project. So Urban Advisor is a data-driven web-based decision support system, allowing users to weigh their options when considering relocating to a new area. The application features an intake process that allows users to input preferences regarding their income, values, and lifestyle choices. From this, Urban Advisor will return an input on how up to 3 selected metropolitan areas compare against a tailored quantitative metrics specific to the user's input, and displays graphical data visualizations to assist in the user's analysis of their selected location. So let's get into it. For the project, we implemented 6 user stories using the ASA12 So I Can template so we can ensure we covered a broad spectrum of use cases, including having a very general target user like a recent graduate from college looking to move to a new city, or a traveler who is only visiting the city and interested in only niche things. The features we landed on for our user stories are cost of living, housing costs, childcare, healthcare, food options, and crime rate in each of the cities as seen here. So the questionnaire is an HTML form that is connected to our Python backend via Django. And when the user submits the form, we combine the user responses with city-specific data we found for costs, crime indices, healthcare quality, and etc. to display a report that lets the users consider how good of a fit each city might be for their specific interests. We've aggregated the data across a number of data collection sites like Numbeo, Payscale, and Trulia, and these were cross-verified to ensure reliability on certain government sites like the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Census Bureau. This helped us find the specific data that's best tailored to our users while ensuring it's reliable as well. Some of the data was difficult to find, however, and so grouping the data by like types and designating a weight to each city allowed us to reliably predict an estimated value for any missing data fields. For our web-based application, we used a simple client-server architecture powered by Django to provide the quickest response time possible. However, for the front end, we scrapped Django's basic implementation for a Bootstrap framework where we used borrowed Bootstrap HTML and CSS features to provide a sleek and modern look for our users. Well, now let's run through a quick demo of our web app. Well, I'm based out of Philadelphia, so I'm going to compare that. Let's compare it to the Alexandria campus outside of DC, and the Blacksburg campus, which is a bit outside of Roanoke. For this demo, we're going to compare all our features. We're going to enter an average salary of something substantial, so we'll give 100,000. How many members of your household? Let's say 2. Do we eat at meals or get food delivered? Yeah, 2 times per week. Do we choose to eat at expensive restaurants? Now there's only a couple options because anything more would be pretty extreme, especially for our targeted users, so we're just going to say never. How often do you get coffee? Every single day, so 5 times a week. How often do you partake in entertainment? Well, we go out once a time on weekends, so we'll put that. We don't smoke, so never. Drinking alcohol, the same with going out on weekends, plus a weeknight, so 2 days per week. How often do we drive? We definitely drive every day, and it's a standard commute, so we're going to say about 25 miles a day. How frequently do we use a rideshare? Well, on the weekends we go out, we do 1 day per week. We don't use any pass because thankfully we have a car, so we don't need to use subway or metro. How many members have a gym membership? Because our apartment has a gym, we don't need one, so none. Money on vacations, we can just say 2,000. And notice how it accepts all inputs with commas or even a dollar sign. So how often do you buy new clothing? Let's go 1 time per month. We're inside the city center and we rent and we have a 1 bedroom. Because we don't have any children in my household, I'm just going to leave those as 0 and let's submit. Oh, are you sure? Yes, I am. That's a good little catch. And now we can see that our salary is returned. We can get our results for if it's higher than the average salary in DC, Philly, or Roanoke. Significantly higher in Roanoke, pretty high in Philly, and not so high in DC. Here we can see how it stacks up with a hover effect on each of our bars to see how well each city compares. Our overall quality of life, you can see our ratios and index scores for all of our users, as well as a handy highlighted colored section to quickly denote whether each value is good or bad. Here we can see a graph comparing each of them with the ability to cross out each city if we really want to compare just two or one to see their actual values, while we can also zoom in on every single one to see the very specific values for each index that are above. Going down a bit more, we have the cost of living report, which is all in monthly expenses, with our restaurant expense being compared between each city, Roanoke being second cheapest to Philly, which is pretty good food city, I'd say. DC, definitely up there. And grocery expenses compared pretty evenly across the board, Roanoke being cheaper just because of its location, while Philly being a more populated city, definitely going to have more expensive groceries. Because our smoking said none, returns $0. And then with our alcohol expenses, the 2 times per week is estimated, including nightlife expenses. And so because drinks get pretty expensive, especially in cities, it's pretty high, especially when you're going out 2 nights a week, like I specified. Public transportation expenses are low. Taxi rideshare, well, this is a bug that we discovered. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly what's happening, especially with our backend logic and the way our IDs work on our DB. It just didn't seem to work out, and so we definitely have some things to improve later on. Estimated gas expenses, same across the board for each city, just because we're using a base gas price that hasn't is struggling to update just because of a non-integrated API. And so because gas changes, especially recently, have been changing drastically every week, we're just keeping it average for now, just for demo purposes. Fitness center is 0, which is accurate because I didn't put anything. Here's the entertainment, which is movies and nightlife separate from the alcohol price listed above in 112, 112, and 14 for Roanoke. Vacation expenses, we divide it by the total of a annual summary, and so you can see our methodology in the section at the very bottom footer of the page. But going back up, let's just finish the demo. Shopping, spending, you can see by monthly, depending on what purchases you're making that accumulate that. You can read in the methodology. And household estimated spending is for our mom user specifically, who definitely will have more than one member in their household. Cost of property, this one was one of the better ones we tried to focus on for data, just to make it as absolutely accurate as possible. As you can see, DC is very expensive to live in, especially compared to cheaper cities like Philly or Roanoke. Cost of childcare, because I put in 0 children, I get 0 results. Healthcare report is survey data that we source from Numbeo, which are percentages out of 100. And so as you can see, over a certain threshold, we denote whether it's high, moderate, very high, etc. So as you can see, there's definitely a satisfaction reports of equipment, friendliness, response time, and then we also have prices in each city of generalized healthcare appointments after insurance. Except for RX drug, it was difficult to get insurance implications with that specific data, so we can only get what the astronomical price is before insurance. Crime and safety report, similar to healthcare, is survey data, and so this is sourced from Numbeo as well, from people that live in these cities, and denoting which is their value for each specific one. Food and restaurant report, which was part of our last sprint, helps with our traveler user and just general restaurants per square mile is independent restaurants, since why it's so low in DC, while Philly is definitely a big food city, like I said earlier, and so it's definitely going to have a lot of independent places. The cuisine diversity, while it's not as drastic, surprisingly Roanoke had a higher cuisine diversity just because of its proximity to being a bigger city close to Virginia Tech, which definitely attracts a lot of international students, and so it's definitely going to have to cater to more distinct tastes. Let's go see the methodology, and you can see how each section is calculated, what combinations of factors help determine the expenses. To save time during development, we definitely generalized expenses into larger groups, hence why some of the results seemed pretty expensive for just being a single factor, but this is made up of multiple factors just to make it as easy as possible for the user to get their information quickly. So feel free to go on the website and review what you'd like to see the methodology. So what's next? Well, we've only gathered data for 6 cities so far, So we could begin comparing more cities if we gathered more data, or even get more specific by comparing different suburbs of these cities. We could add even more features for our user stories, or we could change the structure of the results page to better fit the new data we'd be presenting, and to enhance the user experience by adding more graphs and pictures to help users better understand their results. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed our demo, and have a good one. Bye.